Shalom, Irv Kirsheblat from Beth Tikva Synagogue, Toronto, Canada. You probably have been inundated, as I have, with a multitude of videos arriving by email pertaining to the coronavirus. Many of them are funny and actually quite brilliant commentary on our times. But for some reason, the number one video being sent to me is one that I'm very familiar with and which has been around for almost a decade. It's entitled, Nobody Comes to the Minyan No More. If you have never heard it, just do an internet search. It is not hard to find. Ve oy vey, nobody comes to the Minyan no more. A parody of the mid-1950s popular calypso hit song recorded by Harry Belafonte. Sleep all night gives into height. Nobody comes to the Minyan no more. Get up early at that schoin schlapeit. Nobody comes to the Minyan no more. And the classic, which is all too familiar to me. Will he make it to the Minyan? Definitely. Maybe? Nobody comes to the Minyan no more. Well, I currently do not have this problem anymore. Oy vey. I don't have to look for a tzenta, the 10th person at least for the immediate future. I don't have to make the calls, even though the calls I am now making are of a different, very important nature and purpose. And for many, the relief of not having to get up early in the morning for services, a blessing in disguise. Social distancing sounds great, but many of us are now in self-isolation. The simple fact is that I've had to make many changes and adjustments to what was the normal course of our lives. It's Rosh Chodesh Nisan today. If I was physically in a minyan, I would know it, and I would hear the prayers, the Hallel, and the special Torah reading. We are also supposed to start thinking about Passover, and many would have already started the preparations for what is described in thought and in actions as the major transformational experiences of a Seder. Thinking about freedom and who we are might be a bit difficult when we find ourselves confined in our spaces and searching for ways to provide the experience of sanctified change. When I think about the Exodus, I try to imagine the tremendous changes and adjustments made by the Israelites as biblically related to us. Then I realize that their days, their calendar, and their lives took on a completely novel dimension. They transitioned into a new and different reality, every following day and unknown to be experienced. For me, being in isolation sometimes feels that every day should be a Shabbat, a holy day, or even a Rosh Chodesh, as some kind of special holiday. Why else would I be home? But it is not. There is a loss within, a loss that has to be valued. How does one compensate for things that were ingrained and formed an integral part of one's daily life? What instigated this tragic change is obvious, a yet-to-be-controlled virus. I have had to institute new patterns into my life. I've had to change and integrate new models which may foreshadow changing behavior, some hopefully for the permanent good. What were natural times for me, the daily routines, praying with a quorum in a minyan, teaching, studying, learning Torah, always a preparation for something. From the unseen to the obvious, everything was intrinsically associated with a purpose, physically, mentally, and spiritually purposeful. But there has been a change in our lives, and I believe it is positive and refreshing. It is a multitude of small things which in reality together complete a huge transformation. things which were not there before. I now have breakfast and indeed all meals with my wife Linda. Before, my days were invariably occupied with work of one kind or another. Now I have found the element of time to be an oasis for catching up from the rush of our previous daily lives, reconnecting and regenerating. We don't realize how our lives were not the same, or perhaps they were the same, but we did not have the time to truly appreciate and treasure what we had and what we missed over the years because of our calendars and schedules. Rituals which I partook in with a group of friends or strangers on a regular and timely basis, I can now enjoy with my wife unhindered. At the end of Shabbat, we recite Hamavdil ben Kodesh L'chol, as we distinguish between the passing of the sanctity of Shabbat to the ordinary. I can now appreciate this in reverse. I can be thankful for the transition from what were ordinary days to spend time with my wife in our home, in our holy temple. There is no oy vey there. Passover will come upon us very quickly. I find that the extra pressures of finding and eliminating the chametz, preparing for and organizing the seders, and all the different things that, to many people, made this a difficult festival, have, to a certain extent, been diminished. There is a realization that perhaps we have lost sight of all the little personal details and preparations that we needed for ourselves, in body and in soul, that we have had an opportunity to rediscover. And again, be smart, be safe, stay at home, and we will all be together again. And hopefully there won't be an oy vey when it is time to come to the Minyan again. Chodesh Tov and Shabbat Shalom.